I called it a concentration camp before they went there. First thing that Martin Kobler said to me, he came up to me very, very angry, and he put his finger in my face, and he said to me, "You called it a concentration camp. You said it was a concentration camp. It's not a concentration camp." Well, you know, not only did I turn out to be right that it's a concentration camp, but it's now become a killing field. The United States government gave them a promise when they surrendered their own weapons that they would act as protection for these people. To me, that's a solemn promise of my country. That's a solemn promise that we have now broken time and time again. The United States should be ashamed of itself in having broken that promise, because the United States was instrumental in requiring these people to leave Ashraf, put on tremendous pressure for them to go to concentration camp Liberty, put on tremendous pressure for 2 years for these people to move, basically threatened them, including the then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, basically threatened them that they wouldn't be delisted unless they moved. Now, what could that possibly have to do with listing or delisting? So Martin Kobler made the point that this is a very secure place to be. You're basically on a military base. He promised us many, many things, and the most important thing he promised us was they'd be moved out of there very, very quickly, that they would expedite the process of finding countries for all these people to go. Every single thing I said to you, Martin Kobler has reneged on. I believe every single thing he said to us in June was a complete, absolute lie, because he has proven himself to be a professional liar, which is unfortunate. I believe there's no choice with Martin Kobler, that if the United Nations wants to do the right thing, he should be removed immediately. He is doing the dirty work of the Iraqi and Iranian governments. He is not doing the work of the United Nations. He's not doing the work of trying to protect people who are in a vulnerable status. These people should all be declared immediately refugees. They should be all given refugee status. If they're not refugees, then what exactly is a refugee? The Iraqi government has now announced, by the way, that they can't keep people safe at Camp Liberty. It's not possible. They can't assure their safety. Well, I mean, if we need any other indication that we have to remove them in order to fulfill our promise to protect them, the Iraqi government has now told us they can't protect them at Camp Liberty. What does that tell you? The Iraqi government knows that there are going to be more attacks. And before there are more attacks, these people should be removed to the United States. I do not understand why that's difficult. I don't understand why that's complicated. 3,000 plus people are a small number of people. And if for some reason we can't find it in our hearts, and we don't believe that our honor and our word is worth it to redeem it, if we don't believe that it's necessary to do that, then at least they should be immediately moved to Camp Ashraf, where they can do a better job of taking care of themselves. And second, it would be really, really important to change the dynamics of our relationship with Iran. We all know that Iran is on its way, if it isn't already, a nuclear power. Just recently, the president asked to have bilateral negotiations with Iran, and Iran turned him down. I don't know how often you have to be told no to figure out the answer is no. They're not going to negotiate with us. They want to have multilateral negotiations, not bilateral negotiations. And why do they want multilateral negotiations? So that Russia and China can help to delay things, to obfuscate, to avoid having to make an agreement, because all the while they're buying time. They're buying time so they can develop their nuclear weapons. And we are foolish enough to allow them to do that. So I say, if you want to gain leverage in your negotiations with Iran, if they ever can take place, the very best thing to do would be to support the MEK as an alternative to the regime in Iran. Finally, I just have to return to where we started, because I'm so afraid, and have been afraid since February 9th, that another attack is going to take place. Because I believe that the purpose here of the Iranian government that is calling the shots, and the Iraqi government and Maliki, who are their puppets, is to wear these people down. The reason you move them from a well-constructed camp to a concentration camp that's ratty and rat-infested and horrible is to break them down, to get people who will defect, to get people who will leave, to get people that may turn over other people that they're seeking to harm or hurt. The Iranian regime is insanely afraid of the MEK. Those people who tell you that the MEK cannot offer an alternative to the Iranian regime just has to look at how frightened the Iranian regime is of the MEK. These are just 3,400 people. Why do they make such a difference? Because their act of strength, their willingness actually to move from Ashraf to liberty and put their lives in jeopardy, their willingness to stay together and not defect and not break apart. You realize how frightening that is to horrible dictators when they see that kind of strength? And they realize that that kind of strength is supported by hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people all over the world. They want to eradicate them. They want to destroy them. They want to break them apart. They want to break their will. That's what concentration camps are for, isn't it? To break people's will. That's why they have them in horrible, deplorable conditions. That's why they allow mortars to be fired in the middle of them and kill innocent people in order to destroy their will. We have to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to make sure that doesn't happen. Because